We are going to talk today about ready for 2026, right? The year is winding down. There's not that many days left in 2025. It's kind of crazy how fast this year has gone. And so naturally, we start thinking about what's next, 2026, your Q1 marketing plan, right? What are you going to be launching in Q1? And if you don't have that planned yet, well, good news is we've done a lot of that legwork, and we're going to show you our Q1 marketing plan that you can use. We're going to be giving this to all Snappy Kraken clients, or you can take what we've done as inspiration, because a lot of things that we're going to be talking about today, some of the foundational elements that go into building a plan like this, why it's important, the seasonal topics to be thinking about, those are all things that you could take and use to build your own plan. So hopefully this is a really valuable session for you and gets you prepared for Q1. But before we dive into that, speaking of Q1, one exciting thing is that office hours are going to continue in Q1. This is an experiment we started this past quarter. It's been really fun, kind of a more casual way to dive into different topics in some of our bigger webinars, talk about our content. The one we're doing in January, very exciting. Angel will be back for it. Angel, did you know that?
Oh no, I did not know.
Just realized.
So I guess that'll be my third time.
Yeah,
The
you're going to be the
the
third repeat guest. That's hilarious. I
the
think we
hat
did.
trick.
I feel like we did talk about it a while back, but I'm now just realizing we didn't confirm with you. So hopefully that's good because you will be there. Um, and it's on AI visibility. This is a super important topic, right? How your brand and services will be understood in 2026. This is changing, right? Search is changing. People are going to Google and clicking on nothing, right? You have these no-click searches because you get all those AI results right at the beginning. People may not even be going to Google. They'll be going to ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, all of these different tools where they're getting recommendations that they trust, right? And so how can you show up in those recommendations is what this is going to be about. It's going to be a panel. We may actually have another person joining as well, but it'll be myself, Angel, and Christy, our VP of marketing. And the cool thing is, yeah, especially I use AI a lot, experiment with it, but Angel and Christy are really kind of at the forefront of experimenting with all kinds of things on AI. Christy is doing a lot of work on how we as a company are thinking about AI visibility. So we're gonna be able to share some really cool things because we've actually gotten over the past quarter a lot of really good results from this type of program, and we'll be talking about that. So I hope you're there. You can use the QR code to register. Obviously, we'll be emailing about it as well. It's gonna be a good session. So let's talk about your Q1 marketing plan. What you see on the screen here, the marketing mix, this is something that we create for Snappy Kraken clients every month, and we've done this for as long as I've been here. It's essentially a monthly marketing plan, right? It tells you, what campaigns to launch, some seasonal topics, all kinds of different things. And we got a lot of good feedback on this from advisors, from marketing managers, from marketing leaders on how it helps kind of simplify the process of figuring out what to launch each month, right? You get to the next month, you're like, man, what am I going to launch this month? Open up the marketing mix, and there, everything is kind of laid out for you. So we know people are getting value from this. And what we decided to do is, how can we make this even better, right? How can we kind of take it to the next level? And that's what we're doing with this Q1 marketing plan. So instead of just a monthly version, we're doing this larger quarterly version that is going to include a whole number of things that we're about to dive into. So
And
one of
Mike,
the,
if I
yeah,
can add something
yeah,
here, so you have the marketing mix. There are a lot of choices. There are a lot of options. There are a lot of campaigns available within the library on Snappy Kraken. So, what we meant to do with this marketing plan, with this resource, is at least provide a level of a floor on what choices to make. We certainly have some advisors who go on and they're like, you know what? I already know what I want to launch. I've already gone through the library. I've perused a lot of the different campaigns. I've made my own selections. But at least, if you do find yourself in any kind of a dead end, trying to pick something and wondering what you should, go with next, this is a fantastic resource. It's a fantastic default to just pull that up and go, you know what, at the very basic level, let me just take these recommendations, schedule them, and then anything else that I see that could be for special groups that I have, or even like a one-off that I want to send to a particular group, I can do that. And that's just the cherry on top. But at least this is the recommended floor for what you have and what you could potentially personalize and launch.
Yeah, it's a great point. It gives you a nice foundation to work from, right? And I think the key point of what you're saying too is flexible, right? This is like it gives you a foundation of, okay, here's a few campaigns that I may want to launch this month, but I have, maybe on January 17th, I'm running an event for clients. So I'm going to put that into my calendar and then kind of move things around. So it's a flexible thing. And that's kind of how I think a lot of people probably use it is here's the things that I know that we're doing this month. We've got these events. We've got, we need to make sure we send this out. I'm going to fill in all around those very specific things that need to happen with the recommended campaign calendar. Um, big piece of any plan is the strategy that is built on, right? So one of the things that we've put into the quarterly marketing plan, and you'll see it in the monthly marketing plans as well, is this lead lifecycle framework. And this is really, I think the best way to think about this is how do you build trust in a digital landscape? How do you take someone from cold to client to actively referring you new business? It's pretty simple. And I think a lot of advisors are really good at building relationships in the real world, right? Face to face. But it gets more complicated in a digital world, especially, we're not just talking about like one person. How do I take this one person through this whole process? We're talking about hundreds and thousands of people, and they're all in different stages and they're moving at different speed. So how do you do that? It's really complex, and it's easy to kind of make some mistakes, to move too fast, to have all the same type of content that isn't quite meeting people where they are in this life cycle. So the lead lifecycle framework helps you understand, how do I move people through this process? And all of the content that we have built is designed to fit into these different stages and help move people through the funnel, right? And some of it may cross over, right? There might be some that helps people move from attract to engage and engage to nurture at the same time. So it's not like there's like, here's this one piece of content and you only launch that to attract. You're going to be moving people through this whole thing. But all of the content is designed to move people through, and especially designed to meet people at the earlier stages of the funnel where you're trying to build trust and build engagement. And then the later stages of the funnel where you're trying to get them to kind of take that next step, raise their hand and say, hey, yeah, I'm interested. Um, Angel, thoughts on this? You guys are building all of this content. How are you thinking about this when you come up with the new content that you're building?
Yeah, so everything is going to rely on two big questions. And this is a question that you should ask of campaigns, marketing communications, even a product or a service that you create, which is, who's this for and what is it for? I find that too often, if you don't answer that question, if you just proceed like with this knee-jerk reaction of, hey, let me go create something, let me go blast it out, and you neglect those two questions, that's how you can miss the mark. So who's it for and what's it for? So who's this for? It's for prospects. Okay, it's for prospects who are pre-retirees. Oh, what's it for? It's to get them thinking about pain points A, B, and C, and how it relates to my service. Just with answering the basic questions, it just keeps a level of intentionality on what you're doing, how you're going to execute on it. And I find that when you just have those questions front and center, that's your, a very basic default, right? Basic North Star. It really keeps you on track, and it keeps you from off-roading when it comes to your marketing, so that it actually lands. And you do have some marketing communications that can be for both prospects and clients. We're going to go over a few different slides and content and show you some of those, some of that context where it is applicable. But that's an important thing to keep coming back to. Who's it for and what's it for? For every piece of content that we create, we do have campaign briefs that we supply to writers, researchers, and designers, so that we keep a theme, so that we keep a thread intact throughout all of the communications that might be included in that campaign. Oh, and you're on mute.
I don't know how that happened, but yeah, those campaign briefs are really valuable in just be able to see, yeah, exactly like you said, who's this campaign for? And I think you made a good point too. I think it'd be easy to look at this and start thinking like, okay, I need to figure out exactly what campaign is going to go to convert, and I'm only going to send that there. There are some campaigns that, like you said, you want to send to everybody, clients and
Mm.
prospects, right? A timely email might be a good example of that. I'm going to send this to my whole list. It's this big thing that just happened. And everyone is going to benefit from hearing about that. But there might be some specific types of content that people in earlier stages are going to benefit from more than people who are in later stages who have more trust, more awareness of what you do. And they're kind of ready to move to that next step.
That's a really important piece that I don't want to gloss over is awareness and what stage of the relationship someone is at. Do they not know anything about you and your firm, and you just need to get their attention and get them thinking exactly about their pain points and their problems and speak their language? Are they midway through the relationship with you where they are familiar with you as the advisor, you as the messenger? Is there some kind of context or rapport that you've already established? You know, that relationship is going to be conducted differently. The language will be different. The actions that you're going to ask them to take are different. And too often, you know, we're all guilty of this. We might be impatient. We want to close business. We want to do a one email close or a one ad close or a close off of a landing page or close off of just one meeting. And I'm sorry to say this, but it's not really up to us in our timeline. It's up to the prospect's timeline and what's going on in their lives. All we're doing is doing our part and creating the right messaging and doing our best to deliver it at the right time and word it in a way that is empathetic with them and with where they're at to hopefully get them to the next stages and the next levels of the relationship.
Great point. Yeah. And so the lead lifecycle framework will be built into, there'd be a whole section on this in the quarterly marketing plan. And then all of the content recommendations will be aligned with these different stages and how that kind of meets reality, right? What we're talking about is kind of conceptual right now. But when you start thinking about, people who are going to attract and engage, those are a little bit colder leads, right? Cold, maybe a little bit warm. People who are in nurture and convert, those are your warmer and hot leads. So you'll also see in there like how this directly translates to the reality of launching a campaign. What group am I going to launch it to? And that'll be built out with segmentation recommendations and all that kind of stuff. Strategic framework, super important. And from that, the next step is all these different foundational pieces, right? So the marketing foundations is something that's not currently part of the marketing mix. The marketing mix that we've been sending out in the past really is just like, here's the campaigns to launch this month. As part of this new quarterly plan, we're going to have these foundational recommendations. These are things, I mean, you don't have to set them up. You could still technically go and launch campaigns. But this is really going to accelerate your results and give you the foundation you need to really kind of grow your marketing, right? And before we start talking about kind of the specific ones, these aren't all of them. Every single one of these is going to have a step-by-step visual guide on how to set this up. So if it sounds complicated, it's going to be really, really simple. It's, the small amount of time you take to do this is really going to pay dividends. So number one is segmentation. Segmentation is just being able to talk to people in different ways. We were just talking about that with the lead lifecycle, right? People who are cold and warm, I want to be able to talk to them differently than people who have been on the list for years and know what I do. And when they're ready to hire an advisor, I'm probably the person they're going to reach out to as long as I keep staying in front of them. We want to be able to talk to those people differently. And Snappy Kraken comes with some really great ways to do that. We have some default audiences called opportunity score groups that are based on engagement. So somebody who's cold, who hasn't been clicking, opening, they're brand new on the list, they're going to be in a cold group. People who have started clicking, opening some emails, different things like that, they're going to be in a warm group. And the people who are engaging on everything, right? They're opening everything, they're clicking all the links, they're sending it to their friends. Those people are in your warm and gold groups. Those things are already set up for you. And so there's kind of a step-by-step walkthrough that shows you how to use those different groups and what those look like. If you don't use Snappy Kraken, you should still have ways to be able to set up those groups within whatever marketing platform you use. And it may not be quite as dynamic, but it's a good thing to think about. I would say the most basic form of segmentation that you definitely want to have in place is clients and prospects. So what we're kind of talking about right now is a level up from that, where you've taken your prospect group and you've started to slice and dice that into people who are at different stages of the lead life cycle. Anything to add on segmentation, Angel?
I would say to avoid analysis paralysis. I have talked to some advisors that will hold off on sending out emails or sending out campaigns because they want to create this robust, granular workflow of segments and like, oh yeah, people with no facial hair and people with beards, like I know I'm being tongue in cheek there, but sometimes it feels like that's the kind of segmentation they're trying to do. But really, you don't have to overthinking, like you said, at the basic level. Clients, prospects, let the tool show you who's engaged and who's not, and you can build from there. You're not forced to go from 0 to 100 overnight. You can start slow and then build off of these things, but build that momentum. Start that action, and then you can steer the car once it's in motion, not when it's parked.
Yeah, yeah, no, I really agree with that. I think that's this is called the marketing foundations piece for a reason. And the foundation can be really, really simple. You can get way more complex later. And we are going to talk about some campaigns that are kind of age-based, right? This would be a perfect campaign for people who are 73 years old or who are kind of mid-career. And you can start to segment your list in those ways when you have that data available. And we're increasingly creating campaigns that work well for that. But having your basic foundation set and starting to use that is really the key to starting to get more from your marketing, so that you can be talking to people specifically where they are and not just generally, right? Because general, it doesn't work as well. Most companies are using very general marketing, sending to their entire list, and it doesn't feel specific, and people know it. So you can really stand out when your messaging is more specific. Okay. The next piece here, basic automations. So there's a few basic automations. One that we're going to look at on the next slide is welcome emails, right? When you've got people coming into your list, being able to send them a welcome email is a great way to stand out. And that's a simple automation to set up. And lastly, reporting. You got to know what's working and what's not working, right? So if you're flying blind, it's really hard to know if the time and money that you're investing in your marketing is worth it. So a basic reporting setup is really going to help you know what's working and what's not working.
Is that in that image, you were the hand model for that image, and that's your Jenga set, your personal Jenga set?
Wait, what's that?
I just completely, I'm just asking about that previous
The
slide.
last slide.
I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
giving you a hard time, man.
I'm a huge fan of Jenga. No, this is this is hilariously the picture that I found when I searched for foundation. I was like, you know what, it does make sense. You need
Nice.
if you want to build a large stack of blocks, as I'm constantly trying to teach my 1-year-old daughter, you got to build a bigger foundation. Um, and usually what happens is I build a little bit of a nice foundation and start building up, and then she smashes it like Godzilla. Uh, that's what happens. So foundation is important. And yeah, the basic automation that we talked about, and we actually talked about this on the last office hours that Angel's on as well, is welcome emails. It's just a really easy way to stand out. These emails get a massive open rate. So this particular one on our platform, the new contact welcome email, is one that you can take, you can automate, and be sending to all of your lead sources. It's really easy to do. There's going to be, again, step-by-step walkthrough on how to do that. But this gets a 42.69% open rate. That's massive. So it's a real opportunity to stand out and show up in that moment when somebody has joined your list. And again, if you don't use Snappy Kraken, I don't know of a marketing platform that doesn't let you do some type of welcome email. So MailChimp, you can set up welcome email automations, all those different things. So super important thing, and it can make a really big difference.
Have you seen people get this wrong where they don't send welcome emails? Because I've seen this quite a bit just in my own email inbox where I'll sign up for something, I'll be on someone's list. I don't receive a welcome email at all, I completely forget about them. Forget about, filling out any form, asking any question. And then maybe 6 to 8 months later, maybe even a year later, I get a random email that's, asking me to take kind of a big action. And then I unsubscribe because I have no idea how I got on the list. I'm like, okay, maybe my email was scraped off of LinkedIn and someone just added me to their list and now they're spamming me. So that it's really important just to set up that welcome email, at least have that light touch initially, prime your list for hearing from you. And that way you're likely to get the next emails or other communications open.
Yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to show up. It's an opportunity to create a little bit of value, to start the relationship, to build a little bit of trust. And if you don't have it set up, you're missing that opportunity. I've definitely had that happen. I've even had it happen where like you request a lead magnet or some kind of free resource, and they'll have it on the landing page, right? So they've given it to you. They came through with that promise of I requested this thing, it's there on the landing page. But in that moment, I'm like at school, picking up my kid, don't have time to look at it, forget about it. It's in some tab in my phone
Right.
amidst hundreds of other tabs, and they don't send an email to go along with it. And then I completely forget about it. And then, like you said, start getting these other emails. I'm like, what is this? I don't really remember. Um, so even if you are delivering something on a landing page, or it's just always worth having that follow-up email.
Mhm.
And a lot of times when I do sign up for a list, I'll go and check my email because I'm like expecting it. And if I don't get it, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Hey,
So
that's really important. That's why we have, there's welcome emails and then there's also confirmation emails for different types of campaigns. If it's a lead gen campaign with an opt-in form, really important. Sure. Forward people to that thank you page or to the page that has the gated content or the asset, but also send a quick light touch confirmation email. That way it's there waiting for them in their inbox for when they, you know, tab out of their phone or, close out of their browser and their computer. At least there's that breadcrumb that leads back to you.
it's also kind of confirmation that whatever you did worked, right? Sometimes when I've requested an appointment, even if I go to a landing page, it's like, okay, you were successful. If I don't get an email and then I don't get anything else, I'm kind of like, did it work? Like, did I
Yeah,
100% do it? I'm not sure. You're just kind of it's this thing that happened in the void, and then there's no confirmation that was sent to me. So yeah, it's really important.
it's a nice feedback mechanism. Like, okay, this
Yeah,
worked.
exactly. So welcome emails, set them up, super important. Again, there will be a step-by-step walkthrough in the plan on exactly how to do this and automate it. And it's pretty simple. Lastly, so yeah, you have this quarterly marketing plan it's got the strategy, it's got the foundational elements, it's got some of the seasonal topics and things to be thinking about for that quarter, and it has links to the monthly marketing plan, which is similar to that marketing mix, but again, we've kind of updated it. We're adding in the strategy. It's going to have pre-written social media posts, event ideas, campaign topics, a visual marketing calendar with all of these different things already filled in. So it'd be pre-filled in with like, hey, here's the plan we're recommending. But like Angel said, you can go into that plan and start to adjust it, right? You got this event coming, you got all these other things going on. You can edit that calendar and move things around um, as desired and really make it your own, which I think is how a lot of especially marketing managers are using it. We've talked to a couple of marketing
Mhm.
managers who have found a lot of value in that. And that's one of the things they mentioned was it just gives them a really good starting place of, okay, here's the campaigns they're going to launch. Um, and they can go in and edit it and really make it their own. Anything to add on this, Angel?
No, nothing to add on there. I was actually just pulling up the Q&A to see if you wanted to address anything. I think some of these questions will be more relevant when we get right to the section on the slides so that we can have a visual along with them. But yeah, I'll take your lead on this. Do you want to tackle any of these?
Yeah, sure. If you think it's, I haven't seen the questions yet, so let's see what they are. Um, okay. So how do we change cold prospects to warm prospect segmentation if we're actively emailing them, but they may not be opening campaign emails? Well, I think the thing here is if they're not actively opening the emails and they're not clicking on it, they would still technically be cold because the if they haven't opened it, they're not engaging. They're not really seeing it. So even though we've sent the email, if they haven't engaged with it, they're still cold.
Let's say, just for the sake of throwing something, just making this really nuanced. Let's say they replied to an email and that hasn't been tracked, or they gave you a call. I would say on a practical level. Actually, do you mind if I just share my screen really quick?
Yeah, no, do it.
Okay. I'm gonna pull up my demo account here. So this would be, I'm not sure the exact context that Sarah might be asking about here. So obviously, with most products, there's more than one way to do anything, but I'm in the dashboard right now and I'm pulling up like, okay, cold leads. Let's say I go here to see all, and let's say Jude. I know for a fact that Jude is engaging with my content. I click through to that contact. I can go here to groups and add them to a new group if I want to add them to my VIP group or remove them from a particular group. I can, uncheck that, or I can, checkbox this out, click the X here to get them out of that group or add them to additional groups here. I don't think this is working because this is my demo account, so there's a chance it may not be recording what I need because it isn't my active account, but that would be one way that you could do that and move people around from group to group. Hope that answers the question.
Oh yeah, nice to be able to manually move people. That makes sense. Um, okay. Somebody else asked, how do we access the marketing mix? Um, that is a great question. We are going to be sending this out to all clients in uh, in January or at the end of December. So if you're a Snappy Kraken client, you will be getting the quarterly marketing plan and all of the monthly marketing plans. All right. So let's actually keep going here because I think some of the questions will be answered as we dive into some of the next section. So that's kind of an overview of the quarterly marketing plan. Hopefully, whether or not you're plan on joining Snappy Kraken, you're already in Snappy Kraken and using that, you're going to use our quarterly marketing plan as your foundation, or you're building your own. Hopefully, it's valuable. What we're going to dive into next is going to get even more specific on things to think about, right? Seasonal campaign recommendations. So these are some of the campaigns that Angel's team has been creating. And there's a lot of thought that's going into this, right? So these are all the things, well, not all the things, a few of the campaigns that are coming out in Q1. And Angel, I know when you are thinking about what campaigns to launch, you're looking at historical performance, right? Like what worked really well Q1 last year. You're looking at financial events that that are going to happen that are coming up. You're looking at different seasonal things. What else? What's the process of kind of thinking through some of this?
Yeah. So there's a couple different layers, right? There's a local and proximal layer, which is like, what does our data say? What have we seen perform in the past over the last couple of years? Which incidentally, your team is working on the State of Digital campaign that'll be released in 2026, where it just pours over all this data to show you high performing campaigns, et cetera, et cetera. So we have the local level of what does our data say? Then we have a calendar of, hey, what is going on this year? What are all of the Fed meetings? What does the hearsay? What are prediction markets saying? Is there going to be a rate cut? Is there going to be ABC change? So we make sure that like the stuff that we have coming out is in line, or that we have it coming out either after an event or just before an event, so that we can make our communications super, super relevant and actually talk about some events that may occur in the actual news cycle. The other thing we look at is we listen to our own advisors. So we look at different feedback requests that may be coming in, different emails. I have a group of advisors that I talk to from time to time via email or text, just to see what patterns, what trends am I noticing, so that these things can fit into our calendar with a mix of DIY utility campaigns versus super timely things that come out as a result of something that happened in the market, in the economy, in the world, and then other things that come up that are related to audiences, regardless, so more evergreen stuff, regardless of what's going on in the year. What is a pain point? What is a universal need that certain life stages or audiences are going to need? So we'll take all of that into consideration as we do our monthly, quarterly, and yearly planning, and just start fitting that into the calendar.
Yeah, I love that. So you got kind of your, I mean, similar to what we're talking about with like how advisors could or marketing managers could build their own plan, got those foundational elements with some room to flex things as events happen, as
Right,
they
right.
do.
Yeah, I try to shoot for about, 60% being fixed with good topics that align with trends that would happen on a quarterly basis. You think about tax season, you think about the new year and like where people are at, where their headspace is at. And then another percentage to just account for all the curveballs that events or the world might throw you, or different trends and requests that might be coming through.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. Like what we're going to look at today is largely those fixed campaigns. These are things that we've planned, the angels planned out of like that we're going to launch. But there is that 40% room for the curveballs, right? And there's always curveballs. There's always these things happening. And your team is so good at responding so quickly to those, researching it and getting a really well researched, well written email out for clients to send. So
And
there's
I'll add a caveat to that. I mean, we want to make sure that we're not promising to break the news, because as we all know, in this crazy news cycle, sometimes you try to break news and then it might be irrelevant the next day, or there might be new data that makes it incorrect. There's potential for misinformation and misunderstandings. So we really make sure that we're using a lot of judgment in how we talk about current events. And we also want to make sure that it's going to have a little bit of a longer shelf life, because I know we have to, we got a lot of advisors that also want to take time to review it and possibly submit it to compliance for review. So I want to make sure that it's not going to be spoiled by the time compliance comes back and says, "Oh, okay, great, you can go ahead and publish this email or this campaign."
Good point. So you're not taking ground level communications from social media and creating new campaigns to send out.
Right,
Right.
right. I don't have a huge terminal up with 4 or 5 different monitors. Like, oh, what's trending now? Now. Okay, great.
Yeah.
No. We're a little bit more measured than that. We're not here to break the headlines on behalf of advisors. We are here to help clients and prospects pull meaning, pull universal principles, and some of these things that advisors are consistently coaching behavior wise, so that people aren't reactive to the headlines. They can be more calm, more measured, and actually pull meaning and synthesis from this stuff.
Yeah. That's a great point. I like that. So let's look at some of what's coming. Obviously, New Year is coming in hot. And it's something that you want to recognize, right? You don't want to, everybody's going to be sending New Year's emails. That doesn't mean you don't want to send one. It just means you want to kind of go beyond what everybody else is doing. So how do you go beyond this, the classic cliche, new year, new you, and stand out? And I originally had it on this slide, the New Year's holiday email, which you can see on the bottom left with the fireworks, is a really great email. I love how it kind of meets that promise of, let's say Happy New Year, let's fit that theme, but let's go with a little bit of a step beyond with something thoughtful it kind of aligns with what people are already thinking of. How am I going to do things in 2026 a little bit differently than I did in 2025? How can I be a little bit better? And it doesn't in a way that doesn't make people feel bad. So it's a great email. I decided not to show it on the screen just because there's a lot of other stuff, and I really, really like this 2025 year-end reflection email. So I actually wanted to focus on that, and I might actually just read the first part of it, and then maybe you can talk a little bit about how you guys created this, Angel.
Okay.
So 2025 year-end reflection. Hi, Jane. Take a deep breath. Do you feel that? That's 2025 finally slowing down. Some years fly by. This one felt like it had about 15 months packed into it. Even if you tried to tune out the chaos, the world had a way of crashing through. markets, media, mayhem. But now that we've made it to the finish line, the real story isn't what the S&P 500 did. It's how we stayed steady while everything else spun out. If your emotions felt like they were constantly being tested this year, you have plenty of company. We didn't just face a wall of worry. We made it over, some days more confidently than others. Here's what we observed together. And it goes through this list of all of these things that happened throughout the year, which is a long list. I couldn't even fit it all on here. I've got, I don't know, maybe 30, 50, 60% of it. I don't remember. But this email is kind of like this little walk down memory lane of 2025. It almost feels like a Spotify wrapped type experience in an email. And I think it's just a really nice way to reflect on the year. How did you guys come up with this idea? And what was the process like pulling these things together?
Yeah. So end of year, people are reflective. We think about the industry and what we stand for and how you're not just advising or managing one segment of a client's life. It's a lot, right? Money touches every aspect of someone's life. It touches so many different decisions, and it's pretty broad in what it influences and what it affects. So we wanted to just do a quick recap of the year. Like, hey, here's what we saw. Here's what we noticed. Here are the things that happened. This is pretty unpredictable. Nobody could have called, 98% of these things. But if we just left it there, that would only be half of the message. Because not only did we go through just a quick bulleted list of what we all collectively experienced together, we talk about the foundation, the principle, the underlying reason why you stay in touch with your clients and why prospects should, be along for the ride in your email list, but also talk to you when the time is right. So there was a transition. Like once you get past this list, Mike, there's a transition that's like, hey, here's the point of all of this. I'm not just like telling you about all these random disconnected events. I want to talk to you why I stay in touch and how I can help you, or a few things I want you to think about so that you're not reactive or, a slave to any emotions from the onslaught of headlines that come your way. Here are a few things to think about to keep you grounded in 2026, because we know there's going to be a lot of other unpredictable stuff that's gonna come up throughout the year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, I love the email. It's great. And yeah, like you said, it goes on. I didn't get the whole thing um, on here, but this is just a great example of an email that goes way beyond just a Happy New Year. And if you're a Snappy Kraken client, this is live in the library right now. You could pull it up, you can schedule it, you can send it now if you wanted to, or send it a little bit further towards the end of the year. Um, if you're not, it's a good example of how to think about creating a similar type of email that you can send to your clients and potentially prospects as well. So that's one example of how to go beyond New Year, New You, and a really good one. The other big theme in Q1 is financial planning, right? But we were just kind of touching on this on that last slide, but a lot of people are thinking about, right, New Year's resolutions. What am I going to do differently this year? And some of those are going to be financially related, right? So we have the New Year's emails that are very specifically like, okay, what am I going to do differently in 2026? But then all of this other content that kind of more aligns to that mindset, to what people are already thinking about. Um, Angel, is there any, there's a lot of stuff on here. I don't think we need to go through everything, but is there anything you kind of want to highlight on here?
Let's see here. So this is for Q1. What drove a lot of the decisions here and a lot of the ongoing themes for what we decided to plan and what we added, topic wise. The 60% of all the fixed stuff is, the new quarter, it's the new year, statements have come in. There's tax filing, tax season is, officially starting. So there's a lot there. There's a lot of motion, a lot of movement, a lot of catalysts for people wanting to make a change. So that's really what drove a lot of the themes and how we tried to have all these separate campaigns and separate content, but at least create some type of thread, some type of theme that holds it all together.
One that stood out to me because as we get into, so I guess there's, two. One that stands out to me that we're going to talk a little bit about on the next slide as well, relates to taxes, right? This tax planning execution gap. As people start thinking about like, okay, the tax season, tax deadline's coming up, I need to start getting my taxes in order, and get all these documents together or file an extension, right? The difference between tax prep and tax planning. I know that when I'm getting all my tax stuff together, I'm always thinking like, man, did I miss anything? Is there
Mm.
some type of thing I could have done better? And tax planning is what that's all about, right?
Right.
So
Well, yeah, I want to mention a couple of things. If we're thinking about the Venn diagram here, we're really careful about what we say in the tax related content because we know there are CPAs and we know that CPAs are great circles of influence or additional teammates that a client would hire. And absolutely, we want clients to connect CPAs to their financial planners or financial advisors. We also make sure that we put it's the right level of information in this content that's about taxes. So we do talk about the tax season, but of course, once we're in the new year, there's not many other decisions that someone can make to save on taxes because that's you're looking in the rearview mirror and you may be handing that off to someone to prepare your taxes, but we make sure to include triggers and language in our campaigns to get prospects to think about this year, 2026, to think about the year ahead and actually looking ahead and looking towards planning and having those conversations so that they are well ahead before the end of the year.
yeah, cool. I like it. The other one that stood out to me too was some of these like really more specific ones. Like before we were talking about foundational segmentation, and how to keep that pretty basic. There's a couple examples of campaigns here that are highly specific to, to different groups of people. So, right, the one on the right, the high earners, the coordination problem. Like when you're making a bunch of money, and you thought it was going to be easy and you'd have clarity, but it's actually more complicated and maybe you're doing a lot of the basics right. But what's that kind of next step of things that you need to think about? That's a specific segment of people. We've got the age-based financial planning topics on the left there, right? What money moves to make once you get your first professional job, how to catch up if you're already 5 to 10 years in, the specific age range that would make sense for. That's totally different than the first year RMD deadline, right? So you guys are increasingly starting to put out these campaigns that can be sent to like highly specific segments and are really going to call out to those people in a powerful way because it is
Mhm.
all about what they are going through.
Yeah, if I were to mention or add anything else here about strategy and topic selection, it's all this stuff goes into the brief and it all comes out of the research that we do for audiences and different problems and different solutions. But what I will say, I'll call this out. So right here on this thumbnail where it says high earners, the coordination problem. Sometimes I'll get requests that will be like, hey, can you guys write an email on what is a restricted stock unit? Can you do an email on what is a 401k rollover? And and I have to stop. I have to reframe that question because remember, this isn't just about educating people, prospects on a particular topic because Wikipedia can do that, right? Like there's no amount of emails that like I'm sorry, I just can't compete with just pulling up Claude, Perplexity, or OpenAI and asking a simple question, having it tailor that answer to me. But what we can compete with is, hey, here's all this nebulous stuff that relates to you as a high earner or a pre-retiree or someone who's in retirement thinking about everything they have to do for retirement income planning. Here's this big amorphous, nebulous thing. And there's a lot of decisions you have to make. That's where it gets a little bit harder for Wikipedia to answer your question, to answer the question of, hey, I don't know if my spouse is going to be taken care of if I die unexpectedly. What are things I should be thinking about that I haven't even asked in order to set them up for success, in order to set up my family for success when they're in a time of grieving? What documents do I need to have in place? And what accounts do they need to draw from in this particular order? That gets a really complex. So going back to this coordination problem, this is targeted towards, it's, mid-career professionals who may have high paying jobs, may be in the tech sector, and their finances have now gotten more complex. Maybe they've gotten the 101 level things right, like automatically investing in 401k that has match. And this is beyond Dave Ramsey problems. This is beyond the debt consolidation or the debt questions. This is, hey, I'm successful. And now that is getting stressful because there's a lot of decisions to make. And I got to talk to somebody. And guess what? OpenAI ain't cutting it. ChatGPT is not cutting it. I really need to talk to a person to help save me from myself and to help me avoid this second job that I'm now picking up trying to research all this stuff in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll get off the soapbox
Yeah.
now, but I really, just really passionate about this and really passionate about steering advisors in the right direction so that, again, they're not trying to compete or be a mini Wikipedia when it comes to the content and the emails and the campaigns that they're launching. So we really try to harp on not just a topic or like what is, more of what do I not know about that I should be thinking about, and what are the number of complex decisions that are nuanced depending on things that are personal to me in my life, and that catalyzes a discussion that I need to have with a professional right now.
Yeah. I think the last thing you said is like super important. It catalyzes a discussion, right? This high earners, the coordination problem campaign isn't going to comprehensively answer everything these people need to know, right? It's like bringing stuff to their awareness. It is bringing some specificity to the conversation in terms of like, wow, this is exactly this type of thing that I've been thinking about, that I am concerned about. And it gives them an opportunity to reach out, to talk to somebody about the next step, a real person. And so, yeah, I love that you guys are creating these kind of more specific campaigns to go along with the general campaigns. Obviously, everybody cares about taxes. So, speaking
I'm hoping that Kyle takes a good clip of that rant, maybe cleans it up, puts some dramatic music in the background.
yes, that's good. Yeah, so like music that builds throughout would be a good clip. Speaking of taxes, yeah, I don't think we need to spend too much time on this, but because we just talked about taxes, there's a couple of tax campaigns. This is always the highest performing campaign on the platform, highest performing lead generation campaign, hidden tax opportunities, updated. You guys release an end of year hidden tax opportunities that is specific to like, launching in Q4. People would have already launched that campaign, and then you update it for people to again be able to launch in the new year. So there'll be a new version of this hidden tax opportunities that is has messaging that's appropriate for the new year.
Right. So this is one of those where we do what we can to extend the shelf life of this. So before the end of the year, by November, we normally launch the end of year tax planning or tax opportunities campaign. And a lot of the language relates to here are things to think about, here are things to consider, here are opportunities to make sure that you don't miss out on before the end of the year. So what do we do? What do we do at the end of the year? What do we do in January? Because we still have a few months of being able to get attention, and where this is part of the conversation. This is on prospects' minds. So what we do is we really comb through all the language, the copy, and then we just change all the before the end of the year, and where we can adjust it to say, hey, here's some things to think about. Make sure that you don't miss before you file. And by the way, here are things to think about in the year ahead. That way we really tee up the conversation for tax planning, not just tax prep.
Love it. Okay. So some of the seasonal kind of topics and themes that we're thinking about, some of the cool campaigns that are coming out. If you're still here, Thank you, first of all, for still being here. Angel and I have a good time doing these. It's really fun. Obviously, we wouldn't do it if you weren't here. But as per usual, we're going later than planned. So I want to move on and show you guys something really cool. A little bit of a sneak peek for office hours, eyes only. And Angel, I'm going to let you talk about this one because this is your baby, and it's really exciting. You ready?
Which one am I talking? Because we have a lot of stuff on deck. So which one am I talking about?
I'm gonna flip to the next page so you know. Here we
All
go.
right.
Little drum roll, dramatic moment.
Yes. Okay. All right. I was hoping this is what it was going to be. I forgot there for a second. So for the longest time, we've included a campaign on the library called Personal Connection Video. And we knew we really wanted to help advisors with video, get started with video. We know historically it gets so much performance, gets so much engagement. It allows prospects and clients to feel more connected to you because it's you, it's your voice, you're in front of the camera. But guess what? For as high performing as personal connection video campaigns are, they're not the highest adopted. Why? Because of friction, right? You gotta load up the script, which we provide for you, but you have to rehearse it or set it up on a teleprompter. You have to record it. You have to host the video, maybe even edit the video, and then you have to add that video link into the campaign. And we're like, you know what? How can we plus this? How can we create a better floor so that we don't cannibalize the personal connection video? Because that's super important. We still want to keep doing those, but how do we create a good default? And that default is like, hey, let's start rolling out in-house produced videos that, you know, take that script, have a voiceover, have um, good clips that are all stitched together and that get prospects or clients, depending on the audience, consuming this stuff and thinking about it in the right way, getting the right frame of mind for particular topics, and then, you know, obviously creating a clear path to the advisor. So we're really excited about this. We'll be releasing our first one in January, and I'm sure it's going to be heavily adopted. I'm really looking forward to hearing the feedback on how these do with prospects and clients.
Yeah, this is really exciting. Video is so powerful, like Angel was talking about. And I don't have the stats in front of me. I should have put it on the slide. That would have been a good thing to put on this slide. But the data on it, how much higher performing a video campaign is versus just a normal campaign is massive, right? Videos are just really great performing marketing pieces, but they're hard to do, right? And so the fact that we're going to have these pre-made videos, you can go in and launch this in minutes. If you want to edit the copy and all that, maybe a little bit longer than that, but pretty amazing because I can tell you, we do videos and it's great. Videos are great to do, but it can take a while,
Yeah.
right? A simple face to camera video, you're looking at least, probably an hour. If you have the script already done for you, you can certainly do it a lot faster, like with our personal connection videos. But yeah, some videos could take weeks or months. And so being able to have these ready to go is huge. Coming in January, it's gonna be really exciting.
It's the language of the internet.
Yeah, it is really. So I want to make sure we have time to go through some questions. We are, well, I guess the one other thing I should mention is we're running a really killer offer right now. This is part of our Welcome Monday campaign. So if you were interested in joining Snappy Kraken, hey, we'd love to have you. And when you join in December, you're going to get that Q1 marketing plan that we just went over, all of the monthly marketing plans, everything that's in there. Obviously, you're going to get access to all the content and everything that's coming out. The Angel and his team are creating, and some nice bonuses for joining in December is $0 setup fee, so up to $3,000 in savings and deferred payments until 2026. We just want to, if you want to simplify your marketing and you want to use something like Snappy Kraken, we just want to make it really easy for you, right? Let's get rid of the setup fee. Let's make it so you don't have to pay until 2026. Get in, get your Q1 marketing plan. Let's get some stuff set up so that you can hit the ground running. So you can use that QR code or the link. It probably should get dropped into chat as well. And let's see what we got in the Q&A here. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can go through these with the time that we have available. So I know Sarah had asked about just getting started with campaigns and if there's ways to change them slightly so they're branded for her company and not shockingly different. So this is really then from what clients are used to seeing. So there's going to be a whole range across all the different campaigns that we put on the system, and you can hop in and edit anything. When you hit personalize, it's going to pull your account, your profile information, and it's going to start personalizing these things and adding your logo in specific spots where we've put it. You can hop in and edit emails. You can edit landing pages. I've had some advisors that just use like a random campaign as a starting point so they can just move things around, even change colors, change the topic completely and just repurpose it to whatever it is that whatever other goal or audience they're after in the first place. So all that to say that there is margin to change things according to how you and your firm or your office would like to change them. The only caveat I will give is always look at the campaign type, and back to that question of who is this for, what's it for. If something is very top of funnel lead gen, it might be very specifically designed to drive engagement, and it may not be super important to blast the logo in huge sizes for your firm, because the whole point of that top of funnel is showcase some urgent problem, get the prospect to be thinking about this, and then have them opt in. And then you have the opportunity to follow up and really get your brand in front of them. That's the only caveat I'll give. Mike, is there anything to say on that? Do you want to move on to a couple of these other questions with the time that we have?
Yeah, I think Adam has a couple of questions that I think will be a little bit challenging to answer live. I would say
Okay.
schedule a demo, be able to get a lot of those questions answered, just because of the complexity of some of them. Are we getting a link to the recording of this webinar? Yes, we'll be sending out the recording tomorrow. And then Emily asked, how do you suggest assigning people to groups within Snappy to receive age-based content?
Mhm.
That's a great question. There's a couple different ways you could do it. If you already have the data on people's age, you can build dynamic groups
Right.
that are going to automatically bring people in. So let's say I want to have a group for people who are, 50 to 65. I can build a dynamic group that's going to automatically, anybody who is within that date, that age range is going to be pulled into that group. And you can even set up auto subscribe to automatically subscribe those folks to a campaign as soon as they enter that group. Anything to add to that, Angel?
There's also the birthday automation. So if you go into campaigns and set up a birthday automation, we've made it really simple. Like, hey, set this up, and it can automatically pull for anyone who has those details in their contact records, it can send them that birthday message on their birthday. That might be an office hours that a whole office hours that we do sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, on age-based automation. And
Yeah.
then the birthday campaigns are really cool. I love the text messages that are included in there as well. Any other questions you think we should answer now?
Man, it's like the ones that Adam asked, those will be longer answers, but I would like to be kept up to date on some of those.
Okay. Well, Adam, if you're still here, if you don't want to schedule a demo, reach out to us. We can go back and forth over email. We're happy to help answer those questions. I think, yeah, like we just spent too much time talking, and now we're we're past the hour. So, but we definitely want to make sure you get your questions answered. So I would highly recommend hopping on with our team in a demo, and they'll be able to show you that stuff live and how it works. For everyone else, and for all of you, thanks for joining. We really appreciate you. We hope you have a great end of the year, a great holiday
Yeah.
season, and thanks for everything. Thanks for being here, Angel.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been a blast.